So we're looking at SEC 2018 Even Cert Higher Level Maths Paper 1 Question 3. It said let h of x be cos 2x where x is an element or. A tangent is drawn to the graph of h of x at the point where x is equal to pi over 3. Find the angle that this tangent makes with the positive sense of the x-axis. So there's a few things that we really need to know. We need to know that y is equal to a plus b cos c of x, what certain things control. It's good to know that a here controls the midway line, b controls the amplitude, and c controls the period. And the period, capital T, is 2 pi over c. So in this case, the period is going to be 2 pi over 2, which is just pi. So a quick little sketch of what it looks like. We know that cos curves begin off the midway line. The midway line in this is 0 because it's y is equal to 0 plus 1 cos 2 of x. So the midway line is 0 and the amplitude is 1. It's a positive cos curve, so it starts above it. If I call 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. If I call this pi, this is pi over 2, this is pi over 3. It's going to have completed a full revolution by the time it gets to pi again. So if it starts up here, it's going to have completed a full revolution by the time it comes to pi, a half a revolution by the time it's at pi over 2, and pi over 4 here, it'll have done a quarter of a revolution. Quarter, half, another half, one full revolution, another half, another quarter, and then another half. Fine, a little sketch for us. At x is pi over 3. Pi over 3 is roughly speaking, pi over 3 is roughly speaking here. So pi over 3, nah, it's a bit further to the left, isn't it? It's probably around here, 8, because it's 8 cubes across. 8 divided by 3 is 2.6, so it's about here. So I'm looking for the tangent, that tangent right there. It's pi over 3. I want the slope of that tangent. The reason I want the slope of that tangent, and then I'm looking for find the angle that this tangent makes with the positive sense of the x-axis. I'm then looking for this angle here. The reason I want that is because tan theta is equal to m. That theta is the angle that it makes with the positive sense of the x-axis. So if I can find that slope, I can then go tan inverse m is equal to theta. Okay, well, how do I find the slope of a curve? I really need to use differentiation, because remember, dy dx is a way of saying difference in the y's over difference in the x's. Difference in the x. Which is another way of saying rise over run, which is another way of saying slope. So I need to know how to differentiate trigonometry. How to differentiate trigonometry is to differentiate the angle first. So you're going to get 2. Then differentiate the trigonometry. Differentiate cos, you get minus sine. And then leave the angle alone. Okay. And we want to find the slope when x is pi over 3. So I'm going to minus 2 sine pi over 3. Make sure your calculator is in radians. Minus 2 sine pi divided by 3 is h dash of pi over 3 is minus root 3. Okay, so that is the m, that's the slope. So then if I use this piece of information and go theta is equal to tan inverse minus pi over, minus root 3. Theta is going to be minus 1 over 3 pi, or theta is equal to minus 60 degrees. Now that 60 degrees is actually referring to here. this bit right here. So what do you think this angle here is going to be? 120 degrees. Theta is equal to 120 degrees, just from using a little bit of common sense there, I suppose. So this is your final answer here, because it says the positive sense of the x-axis. That's what we really want. It's with the positive sense of the x-axis. So it's 120. If they wanted it in radians, you would subtract 1 over 3 pi from pi, and you'd get 2 over 3 pi rads. Done. Okay, next question, it asks for the average value and the interval. So you really need to know the formula for this. It's 1 over b minus a. The interval 1 over b minus a by the integral between b and a of h of x, or whatever the function is, dx. So we're going 1 pi over 4 minus 0, pi over 4 and 0, because they've told us what our limits are, of cos 2x dx. You now need to remember how to integrate trigonometry. How do you integrate trigonometry? You do 1 over the differentiation of the angle. You integrate the trig, and you leave angle alone. So it's the differentiation of the angle would be 2, but it's 1 over 2. Integrate cos. Integrating cos, and we're getting sine x. So it's sine 2x. And we're doing that between pi over 4 and 0. This is 1 over 1 really on the top line. So how do we divide fractions? We flip the second and multiply. So it's 1 over 1 multiplied by 4 over pi. So you just get 4 over pi. 1 over 2 sine 2 times pi over 4 minus 1 over 2 sine 2x by 0, or 2 by 0 is just 0. We're getting 4 over pi. 1 over 2 times 1 divided by 2 times the sine of 2 pi over 4. I am aware that that is a half pi. 2 pi over 4 is a half. Minus the sine is 0. Sine of 0 is 0, so it's minus 0. So it's 4 over pi times a half. Your answer is going to be 2 over pi is the average value of the... To be honest, the B part's okay. The B part's fine. I think the B part was probably well answered. For some reason, I don't know why, I think the A part probably wasn't well answered. I think this, it's a little bit tricky. And would have caught a lot of people. Looking at the marking scheme, it's only 2 questions, so yeah, fair enough that they're giving it 10 marks for the first one. Probably symptomatic of it not being well answered. And the B part probably being a lot better answered, getting you 15 marks, which is, yeah, quite rewarding for just knowing your average value of a function. Anyways, hopefully you found the question useful, or the video useful.